March 14, 2000, Jackson Hole, Wyoming, 2:34 p.m. Harrison Ford, 57 years old, stands in the middle of a $80 million film set, cameras rolling, 200 crew members waiting, explosives rigged, stunt coordinators on standby. Then his radio vibrates, not the one clipped to his costume, the one in his jacket pocket, the search and rescue frequency. A woman is having a heart attack at 2,800 meters altitude, 40 kilometers into the mountains. Ambulances can't reach her. Standard helicopters can't fly in those wind conditions. She has maybe 25 minutes. Ford looks at the director, at the cameras, at the 200 professionals being paid by the hour. He makes a decision that will cost the studio $250,000 in delays. He unhooks his microphone, grabs his helicopter keys, and walks off the set without asking permission. Here is the story. Jackson Hole is not just another filming location. It's one of the most expensive places in America to shoot a movie. Every hour of daylight costs $35,000 in crew salaries alone. The production schedule is military precise, 15-hour days, 6-day weeks, weather windows measured in minutes. Ford knows this. He signed the contract, he read the penalties for delays. $125,000 per day, personal liability if the delay is his fault. But none of that matters when the radio says someone is dying. The scene they're shooting is an action sequence. Ford has been preparing for 3 days. Wire work. Choreography with the stunt team. 16 camera positions. Pyrotechnics that took a week to set up safely. If they stop now, they have to reset everything. That's not hours. That's days. The producer, Michael Benson, 44 years old, starts walking toward Ford the moment he sees him unhooking the microphone. "Harrison, we need to talk about this." Ford doesn't stop walking. "Harrison, the insurance doesn't cover. Call the insurance. We have 200 people. Someone is dying. We can send someone else." Ford stops, turns, looks at Benson directly. "Who?" Silence. The standby pilot is sick, food poisoning from yesterday's catering. The only other certified mountain rescue pilot in the area is already on a call 70 kilometers south. Ford has 8,000 hours of flight time. He's logged more mountain rescues than anyone in Teton County. The math is simple. If he doesn't go, she dies. "I'll be back in 2 hours, Ford says. He doesn't wait for permission. The producer is still holding the contract in his hands when Ford's Bell 407 helicopter lifts off the improvised helipad 2 kilometers from the set. The crew stands there, watching. Some check their watches. Some look at each other. Some pull out their phones to call the studio executives in Los Angeles. But Ford doesn't look back. His eyes are already on the mountains, on the GPS coordinates coming through the radio, on the clock that is counting down someone else's life. It wasn't a scene. It was someone's life. 2:37 p.m. The helicopter gains altitude, wind speed 75 kilometers per hour, gusts up to 90. The weather report says conditions are marginal for flight. Ford's jaw tightens. He's flown in worse, but not by much. The woman's location is in the Gros Ventre range, rocky terrain, no proper landing zones. The GPS shows a small clearing, 15 meters in diameter, surrounded by pine trees. He'll have to drop straight down. No approach angle. No margin for error. On the radio, a voice, male, panicked. "She's not breathing right. I don't know if I'm doing this correctly." It's the husband, trying to do CPR. No medical training. Just desperation and a 911 operator on the phone. Ford keys the mic. "This is November 7 Alpha Foxtrot. I'm 18 minutes out. Keep doing compressions. Don't stop." The husband's voice cracks. "Please hurry." 18 minutes. Ford does the math. Flight time, landing time, loading time. 23 minutes total. The medical window for cardiac arrest without brain damage is 4 to 6 minutes. She's already been down for 7. Even if the husband's CPR is perfect, every second matters. Ford pushes the cyclic forward. The helicopter accelerates. 210 kilometers per hour, 220, 230. The airframe shakes. The wind buffets the tail rotor. Ford's knuckles are white on the controls. He's flying above the recommended speed for these conditions. But within the limit of what he knows, he can control. Below him, the landscape blurs. Pine forests, rocky outcrops, frozen creeks that won't thaw until May. This is backcountry Wyoming. Beautiful, deadly. People come here to escape civilization, to hike, to ski, to feel small against the mountains. But when something goes wrong, civilization is very far away. The nearest hospital is in Jackson, 47 kilometers from where the woman is lying on the ground. In Dakar, that's an hour and 20 minutes on winding mountain roads. In an ambulance, maybe 50 minutes if you're lucky with traffic. In a helicopter, if you fly like Ford is flying right now, it's 18 minutes, 17 now. Ford scans the horizon. Clouds are moving in from the west, grey, heavy. If they hit before he gets back, he'll be flying blind through mountain passes. Illegal, suicidal. He'll worry about that later. Right now, there's only the GPS beacon. The radio crackling with the husband's terrified breathing. And the clock that won't stop, 16 minutes. The radio crackles again. Different voice. The 911 operator. Flight November 7 Alpha Foxtrot. Be advised the patient has stopped breathing. Husband is continuing CPR. Ford's jaw muscle flexes. That's all. No panic, no emotion. He's done this 37 times before. 37 rescues in 8 years as a volunteer pilot. 24 were successful extractions. 13 arrived too late. The statistics are brutal, but statistics don't fly helicopters. Training does. Experience does. And right now, the ability to disconnect from the fact that someone's mother, someone's wife, is dying somewhere in those mountains. 15 minutes. The GPS shows the coordinates. Ford banks left hard. The helicopter tilts 40 degrees. G-forces push him into his seat. He levels out. There, in a valley between two ridges, a small clearing. He can see a pickup truck parked at an angle, a man kneeling on the ground, a woman lying motionless. Ford keys the radio. I have visual. Coming in now. He begins his descent. The trees are tall, 70, 80 feet. The clearing is barely wider than the helicopter's rotor span, 42 feet rotor diameter, 15-meter clearing. That leaves 6 feet on each side. Wind is gusting. The helicopter sways. Ford compensates, adjusts, drops 5 meters, 10, 15. The downdraft from the rotors whips the pine branches. Snow and dirt swirl into the air. The husband looks up, shielding his eyes, still doing compressions, not stopping even as the helicopter's skids touch the ground. Ford shuts down one engine, keeps the rotors spinning. Every second counts. He unbuckles, jumps out. The man is in his 30s, tears streaming down his face. I don't know if I'm doing it right. Ford kneels next to the woman, Sarah Hernandez, 34 years old. Mother of 2, no pulse, lips blue, skin cold. Ford checks her airway, clear. He places his hands on her chest, begins compressions, 30 compressions, 2 rescue breaths, 30 compressions, 2 breaths. Get the stretcher from the helicopter, Ford tells the husband, now. The man runs. Ford keeps compressing. The woman's ribs flex under his palms. That's normal. That's correct. He's done this enough times to know the difference between proper CPR and breaking someone's chest. 30 compressions, 2 breaths. The husband returns with the stretcher. They lift her together. She weighs maybe 120 pounds. But dead weight is always heavier than it looks. They load her into the helicopter. The husband starts to climb in. Ford stops him. Your truck. Follow us to Jackson Hospital. Don't speed. Don't crash. She needs you alive when she wakes up. If she wakes up. Ford doesn't say that part. He climbs back into the pilot seat, buckles in. Increases throttle on the second engine. The rotors accelerate. He lifts off. The clearing drops away. The pickup truck below looks tiny. The husband is standing there, watching his wife disappear into the sky, not knowing if he'll ever see her alive again. Ford turns the helicopter north, toward Jackson. The woman is strapped to the stretcher behind him, not moving, not breathing. Ford keys the radio. Jackson Hospital. This is November 7 Alpha Foxtrot. Inbound with cardiac arrest patient. 34-year-old female. Downtime approximately 12 minutes. CPR in progress. ETA 9 minutes. The hospital responds. Roger, 7 Alpha Foxtrot. Trauma team standing by. 9 minutes. Ford flies straight, fast. No scenic routes. No caution about wind speed. The helicopter shakes. He doesn't care. Behind him, through the mirror, he can see the woman's face. Still blue, still motionless. He's transported bodies before. People who died before he could get there. People who died in transit. People who died on the hospital landing pad. He knows what death looks like. And right now, Sarah Hernandez looks dead. But dead isn't the same as gone. 8 minutes. The radio crackles. A voice from the back. Wait. Ford glances in the mirror. The woman's chest moved. Not from turbulence, from inside. A breath. Small. Weak. But a breath. Come on, Ford mutters. Stay with me. Another breath. Her fingers twitch. Ford keys the radio. Jackson Hospital, patient is breathing. Shallow, irregular, still critical. 7 minutes. The skyline of Jackson appears. Small town, 12,000 people. But the hospital has a level 3 trauma center. Good enough. Ford spots the helipad. Red Cross painted on grey concrete. 2 doctors and 3 nurses are already waiting. Ford brings the helicopter down. The landing is harder than usual. He doesn't have time for smooth. The skids hit, bounce, settle. Ford kills the engines. The rotors begin to slow. Medical personnel rush forward. They pull the stretcher out, transfer Sarah to a gurney. Someone shouts vitals. Someone else shouts orders. Ford unbuckles, steps out. A doctor looks at him. You're the pilot? Yes. Nice work. Ford doesn't respond. He walks to the side of the helipad, leans against the helicopter. Breathes. His hands are shaking. They always shake after. Adrenaline, cortisol, the body's way of processing what just happened. He clenches his fists. The shaking stops. He looks at his watch, 3:41 p.m. He's been gone 1 hour and 7 minutes. The film set is waiting, 200 people, cameras, explosives, a producer holding a contract with penalty clauses. Ford walks back to the helicopter, climbs in, starts the engines, lifts off. He doesn't stay to hear if Sarah survives, because it wasn't entertainment, it was someone's life. 4:17 p.m. Ford lands at the improvised helipad near the film set. The rotors spin down. He climbs out. The set is exactly as he left it, cameras in position, crew standing around. But the energy is different, tense, uncertain. As Ford walks toward the set, people stop talking. They watch. Some whisper to each other. Some nod. Some look away. Ford ignores all of it. Producer Michael Benson is waiting at the edge of the set. He's holding a folder, legal documents, insurance papers, liability waivers. Ford walks past him. Harrison, we need to discuss. Ford doesn't stop. Later. Benson grabs his arm. Ford stops, looks at the hand on his arm, looks at Benson. The producer lets go. The studio is extremely concerned about the precedent this sets. Someone almost died. I understand. But you left a $80 million production without authorization. The chain of command, call the studio, tell them I'll pay the delay costs if they want. Benson blinks. You'll what? I'll pay, personally, whatever it costs to shut down for 2 hours. Now can I get back to work? The producer looks at him, trying to determine if Ford is serious. Ford is completely serious. He has enough money. He's made $65 million in the last 3 years. He can afford $250,000. He can't afford knowing he let someone die because a contract said so. Benson closes the folder. The studio will want a meeting. Schedule it. Ford walks to his trailer. Inside, he looks at himself in the mirror. The makeup is smudged. Sweat lines through the dirt on his forehead. His hands smell like aviation fuel and latex gloves. He washes them, reapplies makeup, adjusts his costume, looks at himself again. Indiana Jones stares back. The man who spends movies running from danger, saving artifacts, kissing beautiful women. Ford straightens his collar, walks back out. The director, Robert Cohen, 52 years old, veteran of 17 action films, approaches carefully. "Harrison, are you okay to work?" Ford nods. "Did you need to talk to anyone? We can bring in—" "I'm fine. Let's shoot." Cohen studies his face, looking for signs of trauma, stress, but Ford's expression is neutral, calm, professional. "All right," Cohen says. "Let's go from the top of the sequence." Ford walks to his mark, the same chalk X on the ground where he was standing 2 hours ago. The crew resets. Cameras powered back on. Sound checks the levels. The stunt coordinator reviews the choreography one more time. Ford nods along. He already knows it. 16 steps, 3 rolls, 1 jump, precise timing with the pyrotechnics. If he's off by even half a second, he gets hit with real fire. Cohen calls out, "Everyone ready?" The crew calls back, affirmatives. Cohen looks at Ford. "Ready, Harrison. Ready. Action." Ford moves. Muscle memory takes over. Duck, roll, run. The explosions go off behind him. Exactly on time. Fire blooms in the air. Heat washes over his back. He jumps, lands, slides behind cover, pulls the prop gun, aims, fires 3 blank rounds. Cohen yells, "Cut!" Silence. Then Cohen walks over. "Perfect. First take. That's a wrap on this sequence." The crew applauds. Standard practice when you nail a difficult shot first try. Ford holsters the prop gun, unclips the squib harness, walks off set. Behind him, people are talking. About the scene, about how professional he was, about how he just stepped back into character like nothing happened. But something did happen. 40 kilometers away in Jackson Hospital, Sarah Hernandez is either alive or dead. Ford won't know which until later, and he won't ask, because asking would make it about him. It wasn't about him. 3 weeks pass. The film wraps production. Ford returns to his ranch in Jackson Hole. He doesn't live here full time, but he keeps the property, the helicopter, the radio frequency, because search and rescue doesn't stop needing pilots just because filming schedules pause. On a Tuesday morning, a letter arrives. Return address, Jackson Hospital. Ford opens it. Handwritten, blue ink, neat cursive. "Mr. Ford, my name is Sarah Hernandez. You saved my life on March 14th. I don't know if you remember. I was the woman having a heart attack in the Gros Ventre Range. My husband called 911. You flew the helicopter. You did CPR. You got me to the hospital. The doctor said I was dead for 14 minutes. They said if you had arrived even 2 minutes later, I wouldn't have made it. I want to thank you. My husband and I would like to invite you to dinner, to meet our children, to tell you in person what your actions meant to our family. Please call this number." Ford reads the letter twice, folds it, puts it in his desk drawer. He doesn't call the number, doesn't write back, not because he doesn't care, but because responding would require him to accept gratitude for something he considers basic human obligation. If you can help, you help. You don't need applause for that. 6 months later, a journalist from the Jackson Hole News and Guide calls Ford's publicist. They've heard about the rescue. They want to write a story, human interest piece, local hero, Hollywood star who actually saves lives. The publicist forwards the request to Ford. Ford's response is 2 words. Absolutely not. And the publicist pushes back. It's good publicity, Harrison. Shows you're not just an actor. Ford repeats himself. No interviews, no story, no exceptions. The journalist tries going around him, calls the hospital, calls the search and rescue coordinator, calls Sarah Hernandez directly. Sarah agrees to be interviewed. She tells them everything, the heart attack, the fear, waking up in the hospital, learning that Harrison Ford personally flew the helicopter, that he did CPR, that he saved her life and then disappeared without even saying goodbye. The journalist writes the article, submits it to the editor. The editor calls Ford's lawyer. We have a story about Mr. Ford's rescue operation. We'd like to give him a chance to comment before publication. Ford's response through his lawyer. If you publish that story, I will never work with your publication again. I will never give you interviews. I will actively discourage anyone I know from working with you. This is not a legal threat. This is a personal boundary. Respect it. The editor kills the story, not because of the threat, but because he recognizes something in Ford's tone. This isn't a man protecting his privacy. This is a man protecting the sanctity of an act that wasn't performed for recognition. 1 year after the rescue, a production company approaches Ford. They want to make a documentary, not about acting, about his volunteer work with search and rescue, real footage, real rescues. They'll donate $100,000 to the Teton County SAR Fund if he agrees. Ford says no. They increase the offer, $250,000. Ford says no. They try a different angle. Think about how many lives this could save, raising awareness about mountain safety. Ford's response is quiet, final. If people need a celebrity documentary to care about mountain safety, they're going to die in the mountains. The producer doesn't understand, tries to argue. Ford hangs up. Netflix hears about it. They offer a series. 6 episodes. Full creative control. $2 million to any charity Ford wants. He says no without even hearing the full pitch, because here's what Hollywood doesn't understand. Here's what the documentary makers and journalists and producers trying to turn this into content can't seem to grasp. It wasn't entertainment. It was someone's life. Ford goes back to work, makes more movies, collects more paychecks, plays more heroes who save the world in spectacular fashion with perfect lighting and orchestral scores. But every few months, when he's in Jackson, the radio crackles. Someone is lost. Someone is hurt. Someone is dying. And every time, if he's available, Ford gets in the helicopter, flies into the mountains, does what needs to be done, and then comes back without telling anyone. The search and rescue coordinator, Maria Chen, 38 years old, 15 years with Teton County SR, watches this pattern. She sees Ford decline every interview, refuse every award, turn down every recognition. After the 5th or 6th rescue, she asks him about it. They're standing on the helipad, sunset, the mountains turning gold and purple. Why do you do this? She asks. Why do you refuse to talk about it? Ford doesn't answer immediately. He's cleaning the helicopter windshield, making sure it's ready for the next call. Finally, he says, because the moment I talk about it, it becomes a story. And stories aren't real. Stories have beginnings and middles and ends. Stories have morals and meanings. This doesn't have any of that. It's just flying, just medicine, just doing what you're trained to do when someone needs help. Maria nods. But you could inspire people. Show them that anyone can. Anyone can, Ford interrupts. They don't need me to show them. They need training. They need practice. They need to actually do the work instead of watching documentaries about people who do the work. Have you ever done something good that nobody will ever know about? Something that cost you time, money, or opportunity? Something you'll never get credit for? Think about that moment, how it felt, whether you needed anyone to know, whether the knowing would have made it matter more or matter less. 24 years pass. It's now 2024. Sarah Hernandez is 58 years old. Her children are grown. Daniel is 32, Rebecca is 28. Every year on March 14th, Sarah writes a letter to Harrison Ford. She never gets a response. She keeps writing. The letters sit in a box in Ford's office. He reads every one. He never replies. Because replying would require him to engage with gratitude he doesn't think he deserves. Daniel Hernandez is a paramedic now, works for Teton County Emergency Services. When people ask him why he chose that career, he tells them about the day his mother almost died, about the helicopter pilot who left a movie set, about the man who did CPR while flying through mountain winds, about how that man never wanted recognition, never wanted thanks, just wanted to do the job. Daniel says, "That's the kind of paramedic I want to be, the kind who shows up, does the work, and doesn't need applause." Rebecca Hernandez is a pilot. She flies for a medical transport company in Colorado, helicopter ambulance service. She logs 12 to 14 rescues per month, mountain terrain, high altitude, dangerous conditions. When reporters ask her about being a woman in a male-dominated field, she redirects the conversation. "It's not about gender, it's about training. My inspiration was a pilot who saved my mom and never bragged about it once. That's the standard." At Jackson Hole Airport, there's a wall. Bronze plaques listing volunteer search and rescue pilots, over 300 names. Some are local ranchers, some are retired military, some are wealthy second homeowners who fly for fun, and some are movie stars. Harrison Ford's plaque is small, same size as everyone else's. No special placement, no indication that he's saved 37 lives, no mention of the time he walked off an $80 million movie, just his name, his certification number, his service years, 1998 to present. The tourists visiting Jackson never notice it. They're too busy looking for celebrities in restaurants, taking pictures of the elk refuge, buying cowboy hats they'll never wear back home. But the locals notice. The search and rescue community notices. The people who understand what those plaques mean. Every name on that wall is someone who looked at a mountain emergency and said, "I can help." Someone who trained for hundreds of hours, not for fame or money, but because people die in those mountains and helicopters save lives. Ford still flies. He's 82 now, still certified, still active, still answering the radio when it calls. His hands shake a little more than they used to. His reflexes are a half-second slower, but he's logged more mountain rescue hours than anyone else in Teton County. The younger pilots, the ones in their 30s and 40s, they watch him. They learn from him. Not because he teaches seminars or writes manuals, but because every time they fly with him, they see how it's done. No ego, no heroics, just competence, just showing up, just doing what's needed. Last month, the film crew approached the Jackson Hole SAR office. They want to make a movie about mountain rescue, fictional, but based on real stories. They've heard about Ford. They want to know if he'll consult, maybe appear in a small role. The SAR coordinator asks Ford. He says no. The film crew offers money to the SAR fund, a lot of money, $500,000. Ford still says no. They don't understand. The coordinator explains, he won't let you turn it into entertainment, because it wasn't entertainment. It was someone's life. Sarah Hernandez is still alive, 24 years after her heart stopped. She's a grandmother now. Her son Daniel's daughter is 3 years old. Her name is Harper. Harper doesn't know her grandmother almost died before she was born. Doesn't know that a famous actor saved her grandmother's life. Doesn't know that actor refuses to be famous for the thing that mattered most. But someday Sarah will tell her, will explain that real heroes don't wear costumes, don't have theme music, don't need opening credits. Real heroes just show up when the radio calls, and unfortunately, they don't make men like Harrison Ford anymore.